Travis, an 8-year-old boy with a brave heart and a strong belief in right and wrong, is always ready to protect his loved ones, despite all challenges. On his father's wedding day, as the joyous atmosphere fills the air, Travis steps up, courageously confronts the ceremony, and brings it to a halt. He reveals a shocking truth about his father's fiancée secrets that could harm his father and even threaten their safety. His bold action immediately interrupts the wedding, but the subsequent reaction of his father and his almost stepmother surprises everyone. What did the boy reveal? Why would a young boy dare to stand up and stop his father's wedding? And how did he uncover shocking secrets that adults were unaware of? Let's find out now. Before we delve into the story, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel to help us stay motivated to create touching stories that reach your heart. And now, here's today's story. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows of the church, casting a warm glow on the guests gathered inside. Excitement filled the air as friends and family chatted in hushed whispers, their eyes stealing glances toward the entrance. At the altar, David Matthews stood tall in a black tuxedo, a nervous smile on his lips as he awaited his bride.
"Dad looks great,"
Travis muttered, fiddling with a small pillow in his hands. His dark hair was neatly combed, and his miniature suit perfectly matched his father's attire. But while David radiated joy, Travis's brown eyes were heavy with worry. David looked down at his son and gave him a reassuring wink.
"Thanks, kiddo. You're the best ring bearer a dad could ask for,"
he said, affectionately ruffling Travis's hair, oblivious to the worry etched on the young face. As the first notes of the wedding march echoed through the hall, anticipation hung heavy in the air. Guests rose to their feet, awaiting the bride's appearance. Everyone was eager for this moment, except for Travis, an 8-year-old boy who seemed unable to take his eyes off his father, James. His small hands clutched the ring box tightly, his knuckles white with tension. The door swung open, and a brilliant light illuminated Emma, the bride in a pristine white gown. She glided down the aisle, her beauty radiant with smooth skin and long blonde hair. Travis felt his heart pound. Although everyone around him praised Emma's beauty, Travis's eyes were filled with concern. He wondered what life would be like with a stepmother. He couldn't help but worry about whether Emma could replace his mother's place in James's heart. As Emma approached, James couldn't hide his happiness.
"You look beautiful."
His eyes sparkling as he gazed at his bride. Travis felt like an outsider standing amidst a beautiful moment he wasn't fully a part of. He shifted from one foot to the other, his gaze flickering between his father and Emma, a sense of unease unavoidable. Was this really the right thing? He worried about the future, about the change this wedding would bring. Every second stretched into an eternity, and deep down, Travis just wanted to know that his father's love for him would remain steadfast, no matter what happened next. In the joyful atmosphere of the ceremony, Emma smiled radiantly, her eyes sparkling with happiness.
"I've been waiting for this wedding for so long,"
she said, her voice filled with excitement. She held James's hand tightly, feeling the warmth and safety from the man beside her. They stepped onto the altar, where a warm golden light shone, marking a momentous occasion in their lives. All eyes were on them, witnessing their love shine in this sacred moment. The officiant began the ceremony with a solemn voice.
"Does anyone object to this union?"
The words echoed like a ringing bell, but to Travis it was like a desperate call. He stood among the crowd, his heart pounding, feeling fear engulf him. In the silence, he felt everyone's eyes on him, and the hesitation became a terrible burden. Travis hesitated, tears welling up. The image of his stepmother, Emma, flashed through his mind, the woman he couldn't trust. She always acted sweet, but he knew, deep down, she was a bad person.
"Dad,
He shouted, his voice choked with emotion.
please stop.
The words were uttered between tears, difficult but full of determination.
You can't marry her."
The boy couldn't stop crying, each sob escaping, as if these words were the source of the pain in his heart. He begged, pleaded with his father to call off this wedding. Travis's eyes shone with fear but also with hope that his father would understand his worries and end everything before it was too late. At that moment, everything around seemed to stop, leaving only the cry of a child echoing in the silent space, full of persuasion and urgency. When Travis exclaimed,
"Stop, you can't marry her."
the atmosphere in the church instantly became chaotic. People looked at him with bewildered eyes, but he didn't back down. Travis's mind went back 3 months ago, when James first introduced Emma. He remembered the strange feeling, and the fear when he saw her cold eyes. The sweet words Emma spoke were just a facade, making him feel excluded. Recalling the times he was left out of his father's attention, Travis's courage surged.
Dad, please listen to me.
He knew he had to stand up for himself and for his father. He couldn't let things go on like this. 3 months ago, it was a cool autumn afternoon when James took Travis to a park where Emma was waiting. Introducing his new stepmother to the boy, James gently promised that she would treat Travis well. Although his heart was still heavy with sadness for his deceased mother, James's gentle eyes and smile made him feel at ease. When he saw Emma, a glimmer of hope flickered in Travis. He dreamed of a new mother who would love him like his own. Joy and trust began to blossom within him, making him want to open up to this new woman. Maybe this would be the beginning of the happy family he longed for. Dinner took place in a warm and intimate atmosphere. James, Travis, and Emma sat around the dining table, candlelight illuminating their happy faces. Emma seemed very interested in Travis, always attentively asking him about his hobbies and what he liked to eat. When the fragrant grilled meat was brought out, she gently picked up a large piece for the boy, a bright smile on her lips.
This is your favorite dish, right, Travis?
The boy nodded, a mixture of surprise and joy welling up. Lively conversations began to flourish, with James and Emma's laughter blending with Travis's witty replies. They shared funny stories from school, memorable memories, and dreams for the future. The atmosphere was truly cheerful and cozy, making Travis gradually feel more comfortable. Emma listened to him with enthusiasm, her eyes full of encouragement.
You're special, Travis.
She said, making him blush with embarrassment but also full of pride. The loneliness in his heart gradually dissipated, giving way to a new connection. A hope that his stepmother would not just be a faint figure in his life, but an important part of the family. Dinner ended with promises for future shared meals, and Travis felt warmer than ever. On the way home, Travis sat silently in the car, his eyes gazing absently out the window, where the shady trees passed by like fading memories. The golden leaves in the afternoon light reminded him of the warm autumn he had spent with his mother. In his heart, the longing for his mother surged strongly. He remembered his mother's gentle voice as she soothed him on rainy nights, telling fairy tales about princesses and brave princes. The image of his mother standing in the kitchen, cooking and singing cheerful songs suddenly came to life in his mind. His mother always knew how to make everything special, making every meal a feast and every day a gift.
If only Mom were still alive.
He whispered, his heart aching at the thought of the irreplaceable loss. He wished his mother could see his smile in these happy moments, wished she could talk to James and Emma, sharing the small joys in life. He wished his mother could hold him in her arms and say that everything would be okay. Seeing Travis's silence, James sensed the sadness weighing on his 8-year-old son. Travis's eyes were dull, as if lost in unforgettable memories. He turned, his heart heavy as he realized what the boy was going through.
Son, I know you miss your mother.
James said softly, his voice warm and sincere.
I miss her very much too. She was a wonderful person and will always live in our hearts.
Travis looked up, his eyes red and filled with tears. He didn't know what to say, but the pain in his heart felt like it was being squeezed. James reached out and hugged his son tightly, giving him a sense of comfort and stability.
Mom always wanted you to be happy, and so do I. You never have to be alone in this.
James patted the boy's head, making Travis feel a little relieved.
Emma may not be your mother, but she's trying her best to love you just like me.
The boy nodded, although there was still doubt in his heart.
I just wish Mom was still alive.
He murmured, longing welling up again.
I understand.
James said, his eyes full of empathy.
Mom will always be a part of us, and that love will never fade. We can create new memories and live on together for her.
James's words were like a beacon of light for Travis in the darkness. He knew that even though his mother was no longer by his side, love and memories would forever be the thread that connected them. He felt relieved, as if a burden had been lifted.
Thank you, Dad.
Travis whispered, a faint smile forming on his lips, his heart filled with more hope than ever. Travis had hoped for a happy life with his stepmother Emma. But after just 2 weeks, reality revealed her true colors. When James was away, Emma revealed her cruel nature. She often yelled at and mistreated the boy, leaving Travis feeling isolated and hurt. These days were not like the peaceful dream he had imagined, but a nightmare with no escape. He just wished he could return to the memories of his mother, where he felt safe and loved. The culmination of everything happened one memorable evening in Travis's mind. James was working late, and Emma was supposed to be taking care of him. As they sat at the dinner table, Travis tried to make conversation with her.
Emma,
He began hesitantly.
do you like astronomy? We're learning about the solar system at school.
Travis,
Emma interrupted, not looking up from her phone.
I'm busy.
The boy shrank back in his chair, pushing the food around his plate. The silence became suffocating. However, when James returned, everything was different. Emma would ask Travis about school, laugh at his jokes, even pat his head affectionately. But Travis could see the fakeness in her smile and the tension glinting in her eyes. One Saturday afternoon, about 3 months before the wedding, an unforgettable incident happened to Travis. James had gone out to work, leaving Travis and Emma at home. The boy was sitting in the living room watching cartoons and sipping a glass of juice when Emma walked in.
Turn that off.
She snapped, pointing at the TV.
It's too loud. I'm working.
Startled, Travis quickly reached for the remote, and in his panic, he knocked over the glass, spilling juice onto the coffee table and rug.
I'm sorry.
He whimpered, getting up to grab some paper towels.
I didn't mean to.
Before he could finish, Emma was there, slapping him hard across the face, the imprint of her 5 fingers left on his cheek. She angrily yelled, "You!"
You clumsy, careless black boy.
Travis cringed at her slap, tears welling up in his eyes.
Sorry.
Sobbed.
I'll clean it up. I promise.
But Emma's rage didn't stop there. She pushed his hand away and suddenly lunged forward, grabbing his hair and yanking it hard. Travis was in pain but had to cry while cleaning, tears falling to the floor. Emma yelled, annoyed by the sound of his crying.
What are you crying about? Stop it right now.
She roared, frightening Travis. The boy had to hide in the bathroom, closing the door tightly and crying loudly, not letting his stepmother hear him. In the small space, his sobs echoed, mixed with the pain and fear that were flooding his heart. That night, when James returned home, Emma greeted him with a sweet kiss and a cheerful question.
How was your day, honey?
Travis stood on the stairs, rubbing his arm where Emma had gripped it tightly, feeling more alone than ever. As the wedding approached, Travis felt the weight of the secret heavy on his shoulders. He desperately wanted to tell his father about Emma's true nature, but fear held him back.
What if Dad doesn't believe me? What if it makes Emma angrier?
One evening about a month before the wedding, Travis finally gathered the courage to approach his father. James was sitting in his study, looking over some documents when Travis knocked hesitantly on the door.
Come in, son.
James called, smiling as Travis entered.
What's up?
Travis hesitated, twisting his sleeve in his hands.
Dad,
He began slowly.
can I tell you something?
James set aside his documents, giving Travis his full attention.
Of course you can tell me anything. What is it?
Taking a deep breath, Travis said.
It's about Emma. I don't think she likes me very much.
James's forehead creased in confusion.
What do you mean, Travis? Emma loves you very much.
No, Dad.
Travis insisted, his words tumbling out in a rush.
She's different when you're not around. She ignores me and sometimes says mean things.
Hooah, hold on.
James interrupted, raising a hand. He sighed, running a hand through his hair.
Travis, I know this is a big change for you. It's natural to feel unsure about Emma becoming a part of our family. But I promise you she cares about you very much.
But Dad.
Travis tried again, but James shook his head.
No buts, kiddo. Emma is going to be your stepmother, and I need you to give her a chance. She's trying her best, just like the rest of us, okay?
Travis's shoulders slumped in disappointment.
Okay, Dad.
He mumbled, turning to leave the room.
Hey,
James called after him, his voice softer.
I love you, kiddo. We'll all be okay, you'll see.
As Travis closed the door behind him, he felt a wave of despair wash over him. His father, the person he trusted most in the world, didn't believe him, or worse, didn't want to believe him. From that day on, Travis stopped trying to tell his father about Emma's behavior. Instead, he withdrew further, becoming more quiet and distant. He began to dread family dinners or outings, knowing he would have to pretend everything was fine while silently enduring Emma's subtle jabs and coldness. James, caught up in the whirlwind of wedding preparations and his own happiness, failed to notice the change in his son. He attributed Travis's silence to shyness or perhaps a phase, completely unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Emma, for her part, seemed pleased with her victory as James remained oblivious to her true nature, and Travis was too afraid to speak up again. She became bolder in her mistreatment of the boy. One afternoon, Travis overheard a conversation between Emma and her friend, Sarah.
I don't know how you do it with that kid.
Sarah was saying.
Being a mother to someone else's child, I couldn't stand it.
Travis froze in the hallway, holding his breath to hear Emma's response.
Oh, it's not so bad.
Emma replied, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Sarah laughed.
You're crazy. I swear if it were me, I would have sent the kid to boarding school long ago.
Travis didn't wait to hear Emma's response. He crept back to his room, thinking about Emma's harsh words about him, that his presence only added to the inconvenience she had to endure to be with his father. As the wedding day drew closer, Travis felt increasingly trapped. He watched James and Emma plan their future, barely considering how it would affect him. When they discussed honeymoon destinations or redecorating the house, Travis felt like a ghost, invisible and unimportant. One night, Travis tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. The clock on his bedside table blinked 11:42 p.m. Thinking about everything that had happened, his heart ached. He couldn't understand why his mother wasn't here, why someone like Emma was in their lives. The next morning after breakfast, Travis slipped away from the table and went up to his room. He knew he had to do something, had to find a way to protect his father from Emma. But he didn't know where to start. Thinking about Emma's plan made him confused and scared. He couldn't just sit still and wait to see what happened. Instead, he decided he had to act. Although he was too young to understand everything, Ethan felt he needed to find a way to uncover the truth and save his father from danger. He began to make plans, with only one thought in mind, to protect his father from the woman he couldn't trust. Travis continued to watch Emma with vigilance, and one day he discovered shocking news. While secretly observing from the stairs, he saw Emma talking on the phone in secret. She whispered, her voice full of excitement and mystery. Travis's heart pounded as he realized that she wasn't just talking to a friend. He assumed it was the mysterious man she had mentioned in previous phone calls, and a sense of fear suddenly rose within him. He couldn't believe that the person his father was about to marry could betray and deceive him right in front of him. Now the task of protecting his father from her became more urgent than ever. One afternoon, about a week before the wedding, Travis was helping James fix a car in the garage at home. She hurried inside without even looking at them.
I'm going to grab some snacks, Dad.
Travis said, wiping his dirty hands with a rag. James nodded.
Sure, son. Bring me a can of soda.
Travis quietly walked into the house, hearing Emma's muffled voice from upstairs. He crept up the stairs, carefully avoiding the creaky third step.
Henry.
Emma was saying. He realized she was in the living room, about to move into her and James's room after the wedding.
Just a few more days. Stay calm.
Travis moved closer to the door, straining to hear.
The insurance policy.
Emma continued.
Once we're married, it'll be easy. A tragic accident, a grieving widow, and we'll be set for life. Just stick to the plan.
Travis's blood ran cold.
A tragic accident.
Were they planning to harm his father? Suddenly, Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. Travis leaned closer, trying to hear what she was saying. In his fear, he bumped against the door, causing it to creak slightly. The room fell silent. Travis's heart leaped into his throat.
I have to go, Emma said quickly. I'll call you later.
Travis scrambled back down the hallway, ducking into the bathroom just as the living room door opened. He heard Emma's footsteps pause outside the bathroom and then slowly descend the stairs. Breathing heavily, Travis leaned against the bathroom wall. This was worse than he thought. Emma and this Henry person weren't just after money, they were planning something far more sinister. Over the next few days, Travis was on high alert. He watched Emma's every move. One day, while James and Emma were out, he sneaked into her office and used her computer. He tried many passwords and finally got it right. The password was their wedding date. Travis quickly discovered dozens of documents with suspicious titles: James's schedule, contract details, insurance policy, accidental death, double indemnity, $5 million. He couldn't believe his eyes. Even more shocking, he found a DNA test with Emma's name and a man named Henry. It turned out they had a child together out of wedlock and were not married. A fear spread through Travis. Emma's plan wasn't just about money. It involved a darker secret he had never imagined. Suddenly, Travis heard Emma's footsteps outside the door. He panicked, quickly shutting down the computer and pushing the chair away. When Emma walked in, he tried to remain calm, his voice stammering.
I was just using the computer to do my homework.
Emma looked at him suspiciously, but fortunately she just snorted and went straight to the kitchen. Feeling like he had just escaped a nightmare, Travis breathed a sigh of relief. He knew he had managed to stop her suspicions in time, but in his heart, the worry could not be calmed. He had to quickly find a way to protect James before things got worse. And then, the wedding day finally arrived and the atmosphere was filled with joy. Everyone around smiled and congratulated Emma and James. Live music played, and happy laughter blended together. But in a corner of the room, Travis sat silently, worried and scared. He felt like he was being left out at a party he couldn't join. All the laughter and congratulations around him only added to the tension in his heart. The image of Emma's dark plan lingered in his mind, and every second that passed was like a reminder of the lurking danger. As the officiant began the ceremony, Travis felt his heart pounding. He took a deep breath, looked at James, and knew this was the decisive moment. With all his courage, Travis stood up.
Dad,
He shouted, causing everyone at the party to turn and look.
please don't marry her. Emma is not who you think she is. She treated me very badly, and there are many secrets you don't know.
All eyes turned to Travis, attention shifting from joy to shock and worry. The boy continued to recount what he had witnessed, exposing Emma's abusive actions and dark plots that he had discovered.
Emma has a secret insurance policy with you. The amount is up to $5 million. She and a man named Henry have a child together, and they are planning to harm you right after this wedding just to get the insurance money.
All eyes in the audience turned to James and Emma, confusion turning to shock. Whispers rose like waves. Travis felt his heart heavy but continued.
They have prepared everything to make it look like an accident. You can't marry her. She doesn't love you. She just wants money.
James froze, his eyes blank and full of pain. He couldn't believe that the woman he was about to marry could harbor such dark plots. Emma, meanwhile, was shocked and angry, unable to say anything, only able to look at Travis with a dumbfounded expression.
Don't be fooled, Dad.
Travis rushed to hug his father, kneeling and crying and begging, tears falling.
I just want to protect you. I can't let her hurt you.
The murmur in the crowd grew louder, making the atmosphere tense. James, now understanding the truth, turned to look at Emma, feelings of betrayal and humiliation welling up inside him.
I can't believe you deceived me.
He said, his voice sinking.
I believe my son, he never lies.
Emma quickly regained her composure and tried to justify herself, but all her words became useless in the face of the truth that Travis had revealed.
You don't understand, Travis. All this is just a misunderstanding. I love James.
She shouted, but the skeptical looks from everyone in the audience said it all. James, full of anger and pain, could not bear it any longer. He pulled out his phone and dialed 911.
I need to report an emergency.
He said, his voice calm but full of worry.
My fiancée is plotting to kill me for insurance money.
We'll send the police right away.
The operator on the other end replied, her tone serious. James hung up, not taking his eyes off Emma, who was becoming increasingly panicked. She began to feel everything around her collapsing. Emma suddenly laughed, the sound echoing in the silent space of the ceremony, causing everyone to look at her with terrified eyes.
You think you can stop me?
She shouted, as if lost in her own plan.
All I did was for my freedom.
While the guests were still reeling from Emma's madness, police sirens wailed outside. The police quickly entered, noticing the chaotic situation.
What's going on here?
An officer asked, staring at Emma and Henry, who was standing next to her. James pointed at Emma, his voice trembling but firm.
She and this man are plotting to kill me for insurance money.
Just as Henry was about to sneak away from the wedding, the police quickly apprehended him and Emma.
Both of you are under arrest on suspicion of conspiracy to commit murder.
An officer announced, his tone unforgiving. Emma struggled but could not escape the police's restraint.
You don't understand. You can't do this to me.
She cried, but all her excuses were no longer valid. Travis stood beside his father, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. Finally, the truth had been revealed, and the evildoers had been punished. He knew that his and his father's lives would never be the same, but at least now they could start over, escaping the darkness that Emma and Henry had brought. James hugged Travis tightly, tears streaming down his cheeks.
Son, thank you for being brave enough to speak up.
He choked out, his voice trembling with emotion.
I'm so sorry I didn't realize what you were going through. I'm so sorry I left you alone in that fear.
Travis felt a warmth flood his heart, dispelling the anxiety and fear. Despite how terrible things were around him, this moment gave him a sense of how loved and appreciated he was.
I just wanted to protect you.
The boy whispered, tears starting to fall. James leaned down, looked directly into Travis's eyes, and said in a loving voice,
I know, and you were truly brave. Today you not only saved me, but you also saved yourself from a bleak future. I couldn't be prouder of you.
They stood there, in each other's arms, amidst the murmurs and astonished glances of the guests, but at this moment, everything around them became blurred. The most important thing was that they had found each other again, overcome the painful truth, and now they would move on together, with no more secrets. In this moment, their love and trust were lit brighter than ever, promising a hopeful new beginning. Their story reminds us that the courage to speak the truth and protect the ones we love is the greatest strength in life. Family, no matter how difficult, can always find the light of love and hope.